SARC Talk. SARC is a nonprofit cancer research organization that develops and manages clinical research trials in pediatric and adult sarcomas. SARC Talk is a podcast to discuss activities of SARC, interview sarcoma research leaders, and review scientific initiatives in the sarcoma field.
Welcome to SARC Talk, episode 32. My name is Scott Acuno, a medical oncologist at Mayo Clinic and a chief medical officer of SARC. At SARC Talk, we interview interesting people who are connected to sarcoma, where we can all share and spread the knowledge about sarcoma. Today, our guests at SARC Talk are Jeff Kramer as well as Jamie Elliot. Both Jeff and Jamie have been affected by chondrosarcoma, and we'll let them share their story. Jeff Kramer is a member of the SARC Research Advocacy Council and founder of the Chondrosarcoma Foundation. Jamie Elliot has been in various roles, stewardess, a stunt double, and now ambassador for pickleball. Jamie, Jeff, thanks for coming here this morning here to share a little bit about your story here, and maybe Jeff, you can share a little bit of how you got involved with chondrosarcoma, and then we'll go to Jamie. Jeff?
Thank you, Scott. That's a long story, but many people in the patient advocacy space got into it from a tragic situation, and I'm one of those. I had a daughter, my firstborn. Her name was Shayna, and she was back when she was about 25, was complaining about back pain, and the back pain would not go away. And she eventually, after a period of time, back pain started getting worse, especially at night. And eventually we did take her to a physician who referred her to a orthopedist, and they did a MRI, and they claimed that she had scoliosis, and they completely misdiagnosed it. They gave her exercises to do, and they said, it'll go away in time. No one ever suspected that a 25-year-old would have an ultra-rare cancer like chondrosarcoma. Fast forward about 18 months, and my daughter went to Israel to do some volunteer work, and when she came back, she ended up getting a foot drop, could not walk, had to be brought back in a wheelchair, and we took her the next day to her physician, who basically said, well, you're going to have to make an appointment with an orthopedic surgeon, and she's going to need to get an MRI or a scan, a CT scan. And ultimately, the radiologist called us back and said, you need to go to the emergency room. We're suspecting cancer. And she had a tumor about the size of a football in her spine that came from her, the T region, the lower spine, all the way up her spine, up towards her neck. And it was just a huge tumor that grew back there. And so she ended up having two major surgeries, because it was so big they couldn't take it all at once. She had 2 very good years where she recovered. She was able, thank God, to walk again, although she had to, it was slow. But my daughter and I took advantage of her health, and we went places and did things which I'll never regret, because we enjoyed each other's company. I always wanted to take her to a folk festival in Texas. It was in Kerrville, and I used to go there every year, and I took her, and we absolutely loved it, and we did things together. And unfortunately, she had an aggressive form of chondrosarcoma, And 2 years later, it metastasized, and it was in her lungs, and it very rapidly, because it was an aggressive form, it was conventional grade 3. It grew very quickly throughout her body. It's actually from her head to her toe. She had mets in her brain all the way down to her big toe. And it just appeared everywhere and grew fast. And unfortunately, she passed away in November of 2019, which is going on 6 years. When we were going through our nightmare with this situation, we didn't have a clue about what chondrosarcoma was, where to go for help. We were dependent on the doctors, you know, at Johns Hopkins. We had a good doctor, I must say, but even he didn't have the answers or the knowledge in terms of a viable treatment protocol. And we created, well, my daughter wanted to be an advocate, and she really wanted, she says, you know, people don't know about sarcomas. Yeah. People don't know about chondrosarcoma. We need, you know, I want people to know. And I told her, you know, that I would help her. And before she passed away, I promised her, I'm a dad keeping a promise to his daughter, that I would start the Chondrosarcoma Foundation. And you know, after she passed away, I started working on it. 6 months to the day that she passed away, we actually launched the foundation in the middle of COVID, because it was in May of 2020, May 14th. So it was 6 months to the day. And we've been active you know, ever since, you know, in terms of building the foundation. And we're, you know, we're going strong. We've been around for 5.5 years now, and we got a lot of work to do, but we've accomplished a few things, and we're, you know, it's my way of coping, actually, with the loss of my daughter, because you know, not only do I have her in my heart every day, I know that I'm actively participating in keeping her name out there. I always say, and I tell her this every night, I will not let the world forget about you. Yeah. You know? And I'm going to fight the beast until we find a cure, or I die trying. You know? So that's the truth. So, like I said, Scott, it's a long story, but and everybody has these stories. Jamie's story is also very unique, and you know, there seems to be a constant commonality among the stories that I get. People either get injured, or they find that they have a lump, or they have pain, and they ignore it for a while because they attributed, oh, I must have turned the wrong way, oh, I fell, you know, it must be because of the fall, and they make all these excuses. And sometimes a year goes by because it doesn't go away, the symptoms don't go away, and a year will go by before they do something about it, and then that starts the process.
Well, Jeff, thanks for sharing, you know, your story of Shayna, because I can still see how important she is to you, and every night and every day, and your passion that you do for the Chondrosarcoma Foundation, not only for that foundation, but awareness for sarcoma. Yeah. Jamie, your story is a little bit different. You know, you had chondrosarcoma not at a younger age, but at a different age in your career. And maybe, if you don't mind, share with our audience your story of chondrosarcoma.
Sure. Well, just like Jeffrey said, we're all different in some way, but yet we're connected still by the beast. I don't have the exact date of when I fell on some ice. For some reason, HR didn't do an intake on me when I fell. But I was working part-time at a medical clinic here locally in New Mexico where I live. And it was in 2017. And I'd stepped off the curb, hit my back, and it slipped on some ice that was under the snow. I mean, we'd lived here 20 something years. I was used to the snow and the ice, but I wasn't paying attention. So I fell and came back into the clinic, cleaned up the cut hand, and felt like everything was okay. And then a few months later, I started having a little bit of back pain. And when I say back pain, it was really on the right back rib area, but I call it back pain because it is in the back. And just thought it was from all the golf and pickleball that I'd been playing, and just kept taking, first I was taking ibuprofen, and the nurse practitioner at the clinic said, no, don't get on that, get on Tylenol. She said, but let's send you over for an x-ray. And I said, no, the Tylenol will clear it up. It'll be okay. A few more months went by again. And then around December, I was in there working, and the nurse practitioner said, are you still having that back pain? I said, yeah, it's been over 6 months. She said, I don't like that. And I love nurse practitioners. I love MDs too and doctors, but this nurse practitioner, we just connected very well. And she sent me over to Taos, New Mexico to get an x-ray. And I came back to the clinic. She motioned me to come into her office, and she said, they found something on a rib, and they want you to come back tomorrow for a CT. So I went back for a CT. Now, my husband was out on a little business trip, so I was doing these two, the x-ray and then the CT alone. And I came back to the medical clinic. She waved me into her office, and she said, they found a mass on your rib, and they suspect cancer. And so I was like, going through my mind, oh, what do I have to do? I have a pickleball tournament. I have a golf tournament. I have this. I have birthdays. I can't deal with cancer. I, I was 67 years old, approaching 68 on December of 2017. I was going to be 67. And so I come back home, and I'm not on any medicines. I've been healthy at my age. And I come back, and I remember being in the bedroom sobbing. My husband gets home and comes in, what's the matter? I said, I have cancer. And I had not really been around anyone with cancer except a sister at a small break from breast cancer. She's a 27 plus year survivor. And so I said, but they want me back for a biopsy tomorrow. So he went with me. We went back for a biopsy. This is at a small little rural hospital in Taos, New Mexico. And the biopsy came back chondrosarcoma, and you need to seek medical care. I told my husband, we're not staying in New Mexico for medical care. We're headed back to Dallas. And we had just got our renters out of our home. I mean, everything was just falling into place. So we moved into that home, and I found UT Southwestern. My sister, the breast cancer survivor, she does all my research, it seems like, but she found a place at UT Southwestern there at the sarcoma department. And I called, and the receptionist knew exactly what to do, where to send me, what doctor to fill me in with. And it was a sarcoma doctor there at UT Southwestern. And that was in January of 2018. And they couldn't get me in until March 15th was my surgery of 2018. And I had to have 4 ribs removed. Well, that was fine. I had 4 ribs removed. I did physical therapy. And in 4 months, I was back competing in the sports that I love. And so went along with having to have CTs and MRIs every 3 months. And in December of 2018, they found a new tumor on my spine. Now, I named my tumors. My first one was Earl from on the rib. Earl's got to die. That was my first one. My second one that was on my spine was Jack. Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back no more. And so went back to UT Southwestern after having my CTs, MRIs. They said they found another tumor on my spine, and that was the beast that really got me because it there was a lot of blood loss trying to get it off. Now they did brachyradiation therapy on me, which I had never heard about, and I don't know if you've ever heard of Dr. Michael Folkert, but he was the surgical oncologist there, and he left to come up where you are, Scott. Um,
Hmm.
he's somewhere up in that area. But anyway, they did the brachyradiation therapy on me, and then I had during the surgery, and then with all the blood loss, it did paralyze my legs, and told me I'd probably never walk again. I said, "Oh, I'll prove you wrong. I'll be back walking soon," and I was, but not at a regular, normal pace, and with a walker at the time. I also had to have 6 more rounds of outpatient radiation. I had rehab in the hospital for 33 days. And then I'm still doing physical therapy. Here I am, Medicare is still covering me at 6 years of doing physical therapy 2 days a week. And I'm back, I just don't let my disease rule what I do in life. I'm in charge. I do what I want to do. If I want to take a nap, I take a nap. If I want to go play pickleball, I go play. I'm not able to play golf right now because I can't really turn my body because of all the hardware in my back. But, I'm just living life. Some people say hour by hour. I'm just living life full. I'm full charge ahead.
Yeah. Well, Jamie, again, thank you for sharing your story. And as you know, both of your stories, although maybe a different age group, does say some important things about these ultra rare tumors. The
Hmm.
vast majority are just nothing, as you know. However, there are certain key features that start to say that this is not just a routine back injury, etc. And then what you both did is find and sought out experts in the field and then went to those centers to have those outcomes as you guys had. Now, for those that are listening, they may not know much about chondrosarcoma, and maybe from both of your perspectives, what is a chondrosarcoma, and more importantly, is how does it fit into the sarcoma realm? And I can fill in the details, but that's an important aspect because when we are all trying to promote awareness of early detection, importance of getting to sarcoma centers of excellence, making sure the diagnosis is correct. Chondrosarcoma is just one of 70 to 100 different sarcomas. So maybe you guys can share what you understand to be chondrosarcoma. Jeff, maybe?
Well,
I know
yeah,
you do. You started talking about it as well. Go ahead, Jeff.
okay. So, you know, like I told you when I was going through the ordeal with Shayna, I didn't know much about chondrosarcoma. I didn't even know it existed, or let alone how to spell it
Oh,
or pronounce it. Uh, and over the last 5.5 years, I've learned a lot about it, more than I ever thought I'd ever know. Chondrosarcoma is defined as an ultra rare bone cancer, and it affects both the bone and the connective tissue surrounding the bone. And, it grows from there. There are 12, if you look at the grades, there are 12 different subtypes of chondrosarcoma. And there's conventional, and there are 3 grades of conventional. Grade 1 being, it could go from benign to very, low grade. And grade 3 is very aggressive in the conventional side. And then there's non-conventional, and there's dedifferentiated, mesenchymal, clear, and several others. And there's even one that's just involves the connective tissue that's called extraskeletal myoxide chondrosarcoma, or what do they call it, EMC. So you've got all these different subtypes, which kind of, if you take it all at once, it's all confusing, and it's all, because it's really hard to unfold it all and to look at it. But we do that. We have the foundation in March of 2023 launched a natural history study through NORD. And NORD is the organization that deals with rare disease, National Organization for Rare Diseases. And we have been able to collect, we have about 260 chondrosarcoma patients. All of the different subtypes are represented in the patient registry. And we've been able to learn a lot and decipher a lot of things that happen, to patients when we aggregate this data and take a look at it. So we've learned a lot. We started a second version. We call it Chondrosarcoma Patient Registry 2.0, and we've done a lot of follow-up. We've created a lot of follow-up questions based on what we learned from the first data set that we analyzed. So, we're doing what we can to learn as much about this disease as possible.
No, you're right. And, for all of us that are in sarcoma centers, we historically say in the adult world, 30% of all sarcomas are bony type of sarcomas. In the pediatric world, it's probably 70% are bone tumors. Of this 30% in the adult world, maybe a third at most will be a chondrosarcoma. And as Jeff said, there's the conventional grades 1, 2, and 3. There's a mesenchymal chondrosarcoma. There's an exoskeletal myxoid chondrosarcoma. There's a clear cell. So it even breaks down even farther, further in that space. So it's hard for any one oncologist to have a good grasp around this. And that's why it's important to get an awareness out there about chondrosarcoma. Both of you are very passionate about bringing awareness of chondrosarcoma, the diagnosis, treatment options, getting to sarcoma centers and fundraising. And maybe we can ask both of you is, what are you doing personally to bring this awareness? And now, Jamie, and now you're involved with some activities, and we'll get back to Jeff. So maybe, Jamie, you kind of share what activities are you doing to try to bring that awareness?
Okay. Well, can I back up just a minute? Because I forgot to tell you, I have D. diff, a chondrosarcoma. And
Yep.
So I'm still reading up and still learning all the time on
Absolutely.
this disease.
D. diff is, as you know, it's not a conventional one, it's one of the other ones. And as you just said, it's just another one.
Yeah.
And then all these become just another one. And across the United States, there's probably less than a couple hundred a year diagnosed. So Jeff knows that, Jeffrey knows that, you know that, Jamie. So it's really important that we all understand.
Yeah.
But thanks
And
for
it
sharing
has
that.
metastasized to the lungs and occasionally to the liver. And the radiation oncologist goes in and does an ablation once the nodules get uncomfortably a size that they don't like. So I've had about 7, 4 in the lungs, 3 on the liver, and day surgery, and it's fine. Back to fundraising then. I am now playing pickleball in a sports wheelchair. I am growing the sport in the Dallas area and started a wheelchair Facebook page. And I've got little wheelchair people at all these different little towns starting wheelchair pickleball. And I haven't reached out to any of them yet to do any fundraising because they don't have chondrosarcoma. But on the Facebook page that we have, that are the two Chondrosarcoma Facebook pages, I need to reach out and ask if there's any chondrosarcoma patients on there that play pickleball and see what their outlook is on it. But anyway, I've done one tournament that we raised a little bit of money that we split between the Chondrosarcoma Foundation and the Wheelchair Foundation, that we have a 501c3 that we started for that. And then on February the 6th of 2026, at one of the Chicken and Pickles, which is a venue that does pickleball and food and outdoor games. And excuse me, we're going to do I'm not going to do a pickleball tournament. That entails a lot of work and a lot of fundraising for prizes and donations, but we're going to do bingo. And I have lots of girlfriends and guy friends that will come and support the bingo. And then they have at the Chicken and Pickles, they are very community oriented, and they really do a lot of fundraising for different charities, all free. And so we're going to do a cup campaign. They have the plastic drinking cups, and for every cup that's sold for sodas, water, whatever, they will donate back X amount of money. And there's no involvement for me or anyone. We just sign up for it, and then they for every cup sold. So right now, that's kind of what I'll be working on in February, or before February, but doing it in February in Dallas.
Great. All that effort is needed to help support, research, organization. And now, Jeff, from your foundation level, you're working to fundraise and help out as well. Maybe you can share with our audience what your organization is doing as well to help bring awareness and fundraising.
Well, first off, let me tell you, Jamie's a modest person because she has led an incredible life. And every February 6th was my daughter's birthday. And to celebrate her birthday, we have internationally Chondrosarcoma Awareness Day. And what we do that leads into Chondrosarcoma Awareness Day is we highlight the lives and journeys of chondrosarcoma patients, those that have survived and those that have lost their battle. And we highlight their life and just giving them, a tribute. And last year we did Jamie. And I've known Jamie for 5 years. She's been active with us since we, launched the foundation. She was an attendee at one of our first virtual dialogues. But I didn't know about her background until we did this tribute. And I come to find out Jamie started her life and her career as a stewardess at Braniff Airlines. And then she met this guy, I guess it was on the plane or something. You have to hear her story, but she got her SAG card and became a Hollywood stunt woman and worked at a number of A-listed movies with A-listed stars. Her IMDb database is huge with all the movies. Free Willy, Jamie, you could rattle off some of the movies that you were on. And some of the stunts that you did, they were incredible stunts.
Mm-hmm.
Let me, tell us some of the movies that you were involved in. It was incredible.
RoboCop 1.
Yep.
As you said, Free Willy, Dante's Peak, Hands That Rock the Cradle. That was a big one. And then, I did a lot of car commercials around in Dallas because I had children and became a single parent. So I did a lot more commercials for like car driving for local car dealerships. And you really don't see my face. You just see the car driving and stuff like that. But, I've had a blessed life. I really have. And, have been on almost every continent, but I think 2 when I flew for Braniff. And that was about a little over 15 years with them. And then now I'm collecting my pension and living a great blessed life, regardless of the chondrosarcoma. As I said, I don't really dwell on it. I don't want to think about it. unless I really have to, you know. And I think thinking negativity and that sort of thing is not healthy.
She's really an influence to a lot of people and an inspiration to a lot of people. But Jamie was active with pickleball. It started in the 90s, then she stopped for a while, and then she started to, you know, take it up again, especially, you know, with her wheelchair. And the inspiration that she was, you know, she just doesn't stop. And she started to uh, you know, get involved. She became an ambassador to USA Pickleball. I didn't know any of this stuff, and I said to her after we did the tribute for Jamie, I said, Jamie, I've got to take advantage of your inspiration, and you know, you've led an incredible life, and we need to let people know just how, you know, how awesome you know you are and how awesome your life is. You've just been nonstop. So I asked her to approach USA Pickleball and to see if they would be interested in doing a public awareness campaign on sarcoma and early detection of sarcoma. She agreed to, and she made the connections. One thing led to another. And this month, July, although it's the last day, but July is Sarcoma Awareness Month. And, you know, globally, it's starting to take effect. And a lot of our patient advocacy groups are very active. And we wanted to make a contribution to it as well. And USA Pickleball did an article on Jamie, and it's like number one on their website. And we worked very hard and diligently to create a website on sarcoma awareness and early detection that accompanies that article so that we could be up and running. And we're going to be doing this on an ongoing basis with USA Pickleball.
Yep.
We're going to be active with doing some videos on the stadium video boards, maybe some PSAs or short vignettes. And we're also going to do ads in the program just to make people aware of sarcoma and make them aware of what the early signs and symptoms are so that they know them and, you know, what to do about it. You know, seeking out a sarcoma specialist to get a proper diagnosis. You know, because it saves lives.
Mhm.
And I think Jamie would testify that if she didn't get her sarcoma detected early, she might not be here today. You know, we might not be doing this campaign.
The organization, if you want to know, is called SmashingSarcoma.org, and that's a story. And maybe Jeffrey, it might be helpful to kind of share, you know, your passion kind of stems a little bit of where you are and where you're located and what you do for. I don't want to say your real job, but what do you do when you're not working on chondrosarcoma at the Capitol there? Because you can almost see this passion. Because when you meet Jeffrey, even earlier today talking with Jamie, you can feel like there's something like an urgency to everything. So Jeffrey.
Well, you know, like Jamie, I've led an interesting life. I'm a filmmaker and a broadcast technician.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've worked for Fox Sports. I've worked for CBS Sports. I'm the guy on the sidelines with that plastic spear, you know, catching all the F-bombs from the players, getting all the good natural sounds that you hear during a broadcast, the hits, the whistles, the calls from the quarterback. I'm the guy capturing that stuff, and then I work for other sporting events as well and do a lot of different things. But I'm currently working at the House Recording Studio. I'm working for Congress, and I'm the guy that's the fly on the wall, recording the hearings that exist, and I capture the drama. And I'm doing this. I'm what you call a technical director, and I'm switching cameras. Some of these hearing rooms have like up to 8 cameras, and I'm switching between the cameras, and getting the action that's occurring in the hearing room. Some of my stuff gets it gets recorded and it's all posted, and I'll come home from the day over there and I see my stuff on television. I'll see my stuff on the evening news. I go, hey man, that's my stuff. I did that. Where's my credit?
Yeah.
And then sometimes I get to see these long drawn out packages in the morning. I turned on Morning Joe before I went to work one day, and I'm seeing a fight that I captured between Congressman Comer and the guy Rankin, and they're sitting next to each other, the ranking member and the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, and they're at each other's throats. And I captured that, and it was on Morning Joe the next day. So I can tell you lots of stories about that stuff. So basically, I've worked at the House Recording Studio for 7.5 years. This September will be my 8th year, going on my 8th year. And needless to say, I've had some interesting experiences and have, the way I look at it is I'm recording history. I'm taking part. I'm that fly on the wall that records history. But I'm semi-retired. That's basically what I'm doing now. And I do it on a part-time basis. And then for the most part, I am devoted, and a lot of my time is dedicated to the Chondrosarcoma Foundation.
That is true. And as you know, a lot of us that don't live in DC or interact with the government there, as we said earlier, there's a sense of urgency that, we need to get the word out. And you, over the last 5 years, Jeff, put together, the Chondrosarcoma Foundation. You have a board, as well as meetings that you do have, and promoted several studies. And maybe you can share with our group a little bit more about your organization, your board, and the studies that you guys are promoting.
Okay. So we have a very diverse board of directors. We have, a multidisciplinary group of experts that treat and that do research with chondrosarcoma. What's been interesting is a lot of folks, for one reason or another, found out who we were and contacted me and said, I'd like to get involved. I found that as a breath of fresh air. Folks would do that, people like Joe Schwab, who's at Cedars-Sinai now. He used to work at Harvard Medical School. He does research in the area of chondrosarcoma. And he contacted me. He says, I'd like to be part of the organization. I've got pathologists. I have got, and by the way, globally too. It's not just U.S., but I've got folks, in Europe and in Asia. So I've got folks globally that are very active with our organization. And so we've got a great medical team. People like William Tapp from Sloan Kettering, people like Jonathan Trent from Sylvester Medical Center in Miami, University of Miami, and I could go on and on by telling you all the different folks, but they're multidisciplinary and they're experts. They're real known experts globally, and we have done a number of things that I think are very important for our community. One is that, there's just a lack of knowledge about chondrosarcoma, not only from our patients and our caregivers and family members, but even our medical experts, there's a lack of knowledge. And so we're trying to provide some education of the things that we know and the things that we're learning about. We've created these guides, helping guides, sarcoma, what you need to know, how to select a sarcoma treatment center. We're dealing with insurance issues, how to get your claim approved. The most important one we go is how to make the decision to enroll in a clinical trial, and to talk about what clinical trials are. So those helping guides are very important. We do virtual dialogues, and we have experts and patients and caregivers and family members join us for these dialogues about treatment options, about innovative research, about genomic sequencing, a number of issues that people need to know about. And we record those and post them on our website, these virtual dialogues. We have, as I mentioned earlier, a patient registry, and I could spend all day talking to you about the findings and the results that we've been accumulating from that patient registry. I think the most important thing, and I just want to share one thing about it, one of the most things we found that was enlightening was that only 52, or actually only 48% of our patient community know their subtype of chondrosarcoma. What does that mean? That means they're told that they have chondrosarcoma, but they lack in the details in knowing their subtype. And it's important to know the subtype because they're so diverse that there are different treatment options that you need to explore and understand in terms of taking care of your own needs. And so one of our educating points is we have to do a better job of communicating to our patients and to the community about what your subtype is, and they need to be active and involved in making decisions about their care and understanding what their options are. And that's just one of many things that we've learned. We've learned about the impact of misdiagnosis and how it can add a year to 2 years in that space between doing nothing, understand, when your symptoms appear, to the time you finally get treated for chondrosarcoma. We've done these time to event analysis, within our patient registry. And like I said, I could go on and on with all the results. But we do that. We have just created a chondrosarcoma tumor board, and we've presented 4 cases in the tumor board. We're taking very difficult chondrosarcoma cases that are being presented by the treating oncologist. And we're also in parts of the world that have no idea how to treat chondrosarcoma. And they need some guidance in terms of what they could do and what they can access in their particular region. And we're getting people from all over the world contact us, and the difficulty is getting the information that we need to present a case, and getting the oncologist to come on board to present a case, especially in underprivileged countries, because of the difficulty in securing medical care in those countries. So we have some challenges that we have to face with that. We are about to have a think tank event the day before CTOS meets, and they're having their annual meeting in Boca Raton, Florida, and we are having the day before an event to address disease progression of chondrosarcoma and how to prevent metastasis and recurrence. And we want to look at the current landscape and what exists and what efforts are being made to prevent metastasis and recurrence, and what we can do, collectively to address this issue. I mean, I'm dreaming about prophylactics, finding systemic care to be able to stop metastasis before it starts, and we want to explore that, and we're going to take that on as a priority, and to, you know, um, make sure that we're doing everything we can to be able to address research and clinical trials in this area. So we're really going to go hard on promoting this effort. And we hope that the meeting will give us a strategic plan that will help us gain the resources and the things that we need to create an effort to address the prevention of disease progression.
Jeff and Jamie, thank you both for sharing your stories. And Jeff, you share kind of the natural evolution of patient advocacy group, from some that starts small with passion, with a mission that you need to get awareness, get a group of people together, and now even having this meeting before CTOS, which is our international meeting for Connective Tissue Oncology Society, to bring all the experts together, I think is outstanding. Having a tumor board in this space is also important as bringing experts. And then, as you said so nicely, is these tumor boards allow centers, our patients, to have access to expertise where there is no expertise.
Right.
And that's important. And Jamie, before we end, as a patient, you're not alone. There's an organization out there that is fighting to get information out there, and I just want to know your continued humble aspects of what you're doing. But the reality is you're building awareness too. And how do you see all of this fitting in from a patient perspective?
I sometimes feel like I don't want to talk about my disease, but I know of the importance. And when people see me out on the pickleball courts in a sports chair, sometimes they kind of back off if they don't know me, but my friends that know me will introduce me to other people. And so it's kind of like a little guideline to get me out there. And then with what we did this last 2 weeks with the campaign, I've posted it on almost every social media site, every Team Reach site, every Group Me site, because people didn't know about my disease. They just probably thought I had an accident, or at my age of 74 years old, probably thought it was just aging, that I was in a sports chair. And so this campaign we've done has really spread it a little bit more. And I've had people at some of our pickleball players at Salvation Army say, I had no idea about chondrosarcoma until you sent the information, and I didn't know that you had it. So, little by little, we're getting the word out there. And I talk about it a little more openly, not to get sympathy for me, but to show also with, like in pickleball, the obstacles that people that are adaptive or disabled, the struggles that we go through. And I'm not that far into being disabled, because I can walk with a cane, but other chondrosarcoma patients that may be a lot more disabled, and the struggles that we go through, just finding a parking place sometimes, So I've kind of pushed a little bit more about ADA advocacy of, for the people that, whether it is chondrosarcoma or not, but for people that are adaptive or disabled. So there's all these little spider webs that we've got to intermingle and put together, I guess.
Well, our spider web has continued to grow, and if we all had our opportunities, the knowledge of sarcoma will go everywhere, and the web of interconnectivity will continue to grow. So we appreciate both of you being here today to share your story, but also to continue the story, because it's not over yet. We got a lot of work to do still, and I hope that when people here listen to the stories that both of you have had and the ongoing things that you guys are doing for this ultra rare tumor, but also as a model of going forward for other small rare tumors as well.
And Jeffrey wrote up a very good article on me that I couldn't have written it any kinder and better than he did, which to get the word out there.
Well, Jeffrey is a kind soul. He has a mean hook when he does bowl, because the last time I visited with him, we were in, I think, California bowling at one time. So, it was California.
Yes, sir, we were.
Yeah, but it was a fun time. So, well, again, we appreciate your time waking up early. And to your point, this is being recorded on July 31st, the last day of July, which is Sarcoma Awareness Month. So we appreciate it. Any final comments?
Smashing Sarcoma, that's where we're headed.
Love it. SmashingSarcoma.org is where the information is about opportunities about chondrosarcoma and pickleball. Jeffrey, any final comments?
Well, first off, thank you.
Thank you
for having us. SARC is also a major player, and I'm so glad that we're affiliated with you, that our foundation is, and I think collectively we can bring some leadership and work to make a difference. I hope in my lifetime that we make progress and we can beat sarcoma. And we've got a lot of brilliant minds out there, Scott. We just need to pull our brain power together to make this happen. And so I hope we can do that.
Well, part of what we're doing is sharing the message, bring the brain powers together that we have, but it takes a group, and we appreciate everybody being here. So thank you all. You guys have a great rest of the day, and hopefully we look forward to seeing everybody in Boca Raton down at CTOS. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode of SARC Talk. To find out more about SARC, please visit our website at sarctrials.org. To suggest a topic or for questions, please email us at sarctalk@sarctrials.org. Together, we can find a cure for all forms of sarcoma.